Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 6 of season 2 of Star Wars Rebels called Blood Sisters. And all in all, I didn't really care too much for this episode. It definitely provided some nice backstory for Sabine, but otherwise this episode just really didn't do it for me. And one of the main problems with this episode is the character of Ketsu. Now, this is an introductory episode, so we don't get a huge read on her. But my real problem with this character is her name. And if you're not aware, Ketsu is basically how you say ass in Japanese. So, yeah. I'm basically watching this whole episode, and I see Sabine repeatedly talking to a character whose name is basically ass. So, yeah. But anyway, the backstory with Sabine and her and Ketsu being these really close friends who were at the Imperial Academy together. Ketsu is obviously several years older than her, and that these two had actually planned to basically bust out of there, run off, and join Black Sun. Now, Black Sun is one of the major crime syndicates in the Star Wars universe. It's been around for literally thousands of years. Zero the Hutt, if I remember correctly, was a member of Black Sun. Black Sun's been around since at least the days of the Old Republic. They even have their own little battle cry: "The Black Sun shall rise." So yeah, I mean that's cool and all, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Teenagers do have this tendency to sort of glamorize criminals. I mean, just look at the popularity of gangster rap and all that other stuff. And I like that Sabine is old enough and wise enough to have just looked back at how she was just a few years prior and go, wow, I was really dumb and foolish then. Yeah. And believe me, when you look back on what you were thinking when you were 14 and are horribly, horribly embarrassed, then you know you've at least grown up a little bit. Now, my main thing with Ketsu here, besides her name, is just how rapidly she sort of does an about face on Sabine, you're gonna make me kill you too. We're buds again, and that's just like, nah, come on, something like this needs a little bit more time to percolate. And I mean, I'm glad they didn't drag her full on into the rebellion. That would have been too much. But even then, just sort of going from, oh yeah, I'm gonna chuck this whole thing with okay, I just can't really bring myself to go on. I mean, it was just really way too fast for her to do such an about face, and let's just leave it at that. Man, are they really, really trying to save money by not putting facial detail into the Imperial officers whenever we see them? And I don't know what's going on, but every single one of these guys is freaking voiced by Steve Blum. It's just getting more and more ridiculous every single time that I see it. Now, other stuff in this episode. Now, there were some cool things. We get a little cameo by R2-D2. The robot that's piloting the shuttle is a model we've seen on the show before, acting as a shuttle pilot, and it is based on the droid from the old Star Tours ride that I think they had down in, I can't remember if it was Busch Gardens or Universal Studios. I remember I went on that a couple of times as a kid. So I mean that's cool and all. And I did like the character design for Ketsu, particularly her masks. It reminded me of the Kubas people. We saw Kubas as one of the bounty hunters that was going after the rebels in Empire Strikes Back. Now, again, she sort of is obviously kind of maybe taking some Mandalorian cues. Maybe she was also of Mandalorian ancestry. It's not really clear. And I did like the kind of tattoos that she had on her head. I mean, she did have, once she took off the mask, and even when she was wearing it, a rather interesting character design. And there was definitely some good action this episode. But, at the end of the day, this episode just kind of felt a little thin. Oh, and points to actually doing something really cool with Chopper. I mean, Chopper really basically taking down the ship like that. That was pretty cool. But anyway, as I was saying, this doesn't really change the fact that in terms of story, this episode felt kind of thin. They really had the opportunity to do something really interesting, and just this whole situation with Ketsu, it just really feels like things we've seen many times before, and just having her do such a big about face in such a short amount of time, it just did not work for me. And that is all I really have to say, apart from the fact that, man, I hope Star Wars does a little bit better job of thinking through the names they give characters just to make sure they don't unintentionally mean something unpleasant in another language, especially one that's as popular among nerddom as Japanese is. Oh boy, I'm just sort of imagining now. I'm just sort of sitting here imagining what type of all these Star Wars characters with names that are like vulgar terms and such that I happen to know in Japanese, because of course when you learn another language, one of the first things you deliberately go out and try and learn are all the bad words, and that's exactly what I did when I started learning Japanese. And yeah, my vocabulary of things that I can say in Japanese that would probably have somebody come over and punch me in the face, proud to say it's not bad. So with that, I think I'm going to call it here before I give into the temptation to demonstrate some of that extremely inappropriate Japanese here. Look around on YouTube, folks. If you really want to know that, I'm sure there's somebody out there who will be happy to teach you, but it's not going to be me. So with that said, guys, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.